And if let's say Shankar is trying to update this, at the same time Mike is also trying to update it. At the same time Mike is also trying to update it. Now what do you think happens here? Shankar logged in and issued the same update statement on the same row. Also the same time Mike trying to update the same thing. So what do you think is going to happen?
Collision.
Right. It's nothing but a conflict. It's nothing but a conflict. Now, how do you avoid these conflicts? Let's say here this guy is updating it to 14,000, right? Right. So which one will be saved there, whether it is 12,000 or 14,000, and both are trying to update the same thing. First of all, is it possible for the both associates to log in and update the same thing at the same time, right? For example, you booked a room reservation. Let's say you would like to attend a conference in Bangalore, and a single bedroom, let's say you booked for like a couple of days. What if two people trying to enter to the same room, right? When you and I got the same room reservation, it's a conflict.
Yeah. So here we'll be giving an exclusive locking facility or something, so that the person who is having the taxes will be able to update. The other person will be in the waiting queue.
That is true. How do you manage? That's a very good point. How do you manage all of that? Let's say if I talk about same hotel accommodation, I'll get a lock, right? I'll get a key saying that this is the key for my room. The moment I am using that key and lock the door, no one is able to enter into that room. Similarly, like you have locked your room exclusively for you there for the conference, here also the moment Shankar logs in, when Shankar logs in and trying to update it, he has to get a lock on this lock. So depending upon the type of a lock, you have the other person either have to wait, or the other person's transaction will be successful depending upon the operation they are doing. For example, if Mikey is just doing select star from salary, where employee ID equal to 501. Depending upon it, if both are trying to update the same thing at the same time, the locking won't allow it to happen. Whereas the other person just coming there to do a select, yes, it is possible. Now, how do you control the behavior of a locking is through a concept called isolation levels. If you remember, every RDBMS has to follow the standards called ACID properties. Have you heard the terminology ACID?
Atomicity, consistency, isolation, data, something.
Isolation, durability.
Yeah.
So what I am talking about here is the isolation, the letter called I. Each session,
those are right.
Yes, each session has its own isolation level. Depending on the isolation level, Informix does the locking separately. Now let's first look at what are all these various isolation levels we have in Informix. There are 4 different isolation levels for us to choose in Informix. The first one is called dirty read, second one is called committed read, third one is called cursor stability, fourth one is called repeatable read. What happens in a dirty read is you won't lock anything. Also, you won't be blocked by anything. but you might read inconsistent data. This is the only isolation level for databases without logging. In the last session, we also learned about you can create databases with different types of transactional logging. What are the 4 different types we learned? No log, buffer logging, unbuffered logging, log mode, and zip. When you create a database with no log, that means you are not worried about a point in time recovery because there are no transaction logs generated, so you cannot roll it back to a specific point in time. The only isolation level you can use for such kind of a databases is dirty read. Let me explain you what is this dirty read. I'm opening those 2 sessions here that I already have. Let me go ahead and create a table called salary table. Let me select this buffer DB or unbuffered DB, whatever that is. I'm going to query language. I'm saying that create table I'm creating a table with 3 columns. It says this table already exists. Let me use the concept called use editor. So it gives me an option to open through VI editor. Let me write a statement called drop table salary. When I write and quit, so I can write it either here and the area it provided for me to write, or I can use the editor option. Now if I enter it and run, table is created. Now when I go to new and insert into escape and run, when I say select start from salary, I see this one record. Now let me go to other session as well. When I connect to say DB access and buffer DB, I need to set the environment first. When I say DB access database name, I directly connect to the database. Now I'm going to the query language, new. When I say select start from salary, where employee ID equal to, what is this, 10150. I'm able to see this record. Now what I'm saying here is, I'll be opening a transaction here. Now how do I explicitly say a transaction? First of all, what is a transaction? From your understanding, Ravi, what is a transaction?
Transaction is, when we update, when we insert or update or any action which is taken on the database table, then that is called as transaction. I don't know the exact meaning, but I'm trying to frame up. So any action, any statement which is like, so if we are updating or if we are dropping or if we are, a series of statements, all or none.
It's a series of statements or instructions. But the clause here is, if it happens, all will be executed or none will be executed. For example, you have an SBI card, but you are going to ICICI Bank for withdrawal of money. What happens the moment you enter into ICICI ATM and put your SBI card? It asks you for the PIN. Now PIN is validated against SBI branch, but you are in ICICI. Now once the PIN is validated, you are trying to withdraw some money. All this is part of a single transaction. When you are trying to withdraw the money, let's say 5,000 bucks, if a transaction fails halfway through, your money is safe, right? Sometimes you see a message that transaction is incomplete, transaction failed, gateway has any issues, wherever. Whether issues with your original SBI card or issues with the visiting ICICI card or gateway or the power failure, the ATM fails, anything, your money is safe. Because all those series of steps you perform to withdraw money are part of a single transaction. Now, for me to start a single transaction, I have to explicitly use a word called begin. But you can only use the begin when you have a transactional database. What are the transactional database? A database created as an unbuffered logging or a buffered logging or log mode and save. Now I'm saying that begin. If I press escape and run, it says at the bottom that a transaction is started. If I go to new here, if I update salary, set employee salary equal to 12,000, where employee ID equal to 501. Now I updated this transaction, updated this salary within a transaction. But please note that I did not commit this yet. If I put it on a notepad here, right? But I did not commit this yet. But what happens is, in the same time, the other session is also trying to start a transaction, and they are also running something called the same thing. Now here in the other session, I say begin, escape, run, start a transaction. Now here also I do here, I'm trying to update it to 14,000. Escape. Now what happens if I click on run? Now I am here. So this is Mike's window and this is Shankar window. Now what happens when I am trying to update it here and run it? Any idea what happens? Ideally it should not allow it because someone is already holding a lock on the same row. Now if I am trying to run here, you get an error like that. Could not do a physical order read to fetch next row. ISAM error is record is locked. So the beautiful thing with Informix is it gives you the error numbers. You open a duplicate session, and you can get the information about the errors without even going to Google. There is a tool called find ERR, the command. You just have to say find ERR followed by error number. It gives you an idea why you are getting that error. So if you check for associated ISAM error, option is record is locked. Someone did log the record. This is an expected behavior because this guy did not commit it yet. Now what happens on the other session? if I commit it.
It will not. Yeah, it will not allow the other person to do. So till he commits,
Right.
the lock will be extended.
Yeah, till this guy commits, it won't allow to update the same record. So now what I'm saying is commit. Now when I'm trying to run the same thing here, it is updated. Right? Now I did a commit here. Now this guy did not commit it yet. This guy did not commit it yet. So he is updating it to 14,000. Now when this guy says select start from employee salary, you see value as a 14,000. But what happens with this guy? This guy did not commit it yet. So the transaction is still pending. Right? Transaction is still pending. Now when you run this here, that's what I'm showing there. Select start from salary. The outcome you see is 14,000. But at the same time, I'm coming here and trying to run the select start from salary. What is the value I see here? This statement is not committed yet. Statement of salary getting updated to 14,000. Now when I come here onto this terminal and when I say select start from salary, if I run it, I will get an error saying that I cannot even put a select lock on there because someone already logged it. Right? Someone already logged it. Now watch this, what I am doing. Now I say set isolation to dirty read and I say that select start from salary where employee ID equal to 501 escape. Here I see 14,000 now. Right? This will by default gives me an error unless I explicitly say something called set isolation to dirty read. Dirty read is nothing but I am okay to read uncommitted data. Reading uncommitted data. When I say select start from salary, it is successful.
Ravi, yeah, this one is fine. Better suggestion to dirty read. Can you repeat the last 2 to 3 statements? I mean, like what you did. So yeah, I have a little confusion on that update and all. So 2 users are using. So what? So we are same to isolation.
All right. All right. Right. I am logging here to unbuffer.db. I'm saying that query language new. When I say select start from salary, I see 12,000. Right. Even when I do the same thing here, select start from salary, I see a record. See, in both instances, 2 different sessions, I see 12,000 here in both instances. Now what I'm saying here is, here I will start a transaction. How do I start a transaction? Begin, update salary table, set employee salary equal to 14,000, where employee ID equal to 501. I have updated, but please note that I did not commit this transaction yet. Now what happens when I am trying to update the same here? When I am trying to update the same here. Now what happens naturally is there is a log kept on this row here, because update will put an exclusive log. So when I am trying to run here, I'll get a message saying that someone already logged that record. That's fine. Update is expected. Now at least try to do select. Select start from salary where employee ID equal to 501. Escape and run. Select is also failing because it can't even read from this row because the record is locked by this white and black screen. Now, how do you solve this problem?
Ravi, so these two sessions are using the same record. So is it possible for another record to check?
Yes, yes. So I'll show you that. So let's finish up this. That's a good example. So now, how do I see this data? When I say set isolation to dirty read and press escape and say new, select start from salary where employee ID equal to 501. This time I see dirty data. Dirty stands for reading uncommitted data. Here in this white session, the white guy updated it to 14,000. But is there any guarantee that this update will be committed? No, there is no guarantee. But still, you are going ahead and reading this dirty value, uncommitted value. If here I say roll back, and if you are running the same command here again, you see 12,000. So dirty read, the good signs are it won't put any logs. Dirty read, it won't put any logs. You won't log anything. You won't be blocked by anything. But you might read inconsistent data. Just in case you created a database without logging, with a no log option, this is the only isolation level that's possible for you. Now let me repeat the same thing. Begin a transaction, update salary, set employee salary equal to 14,000 where employee ID equal to 50. But again I updated it, but I did not commit it yet. Now when I run, I'll see 14,000 this time. But what if I want to read committed data? See, we know that 14,000 is uncommitted data, but prior image of it is 12,000. But what if I want to read? That's when you have to set isolation to committed read. And say that select start from salary where employee equal to 501. Right. Right. But still it is not allowing me to do that operation. When I say that set isolation to committed read, the second isolation level, it ensures that only committed data is read. It's a default isolation level for buffered or unbuffered. Checks if any shade log can be kept, but do not set it. But in case of here, I have exclusively logged this row, so that's why it's not able to even put this shade log here. So that's why it is throwing an error. Now let me repeat this exercise where I will go ahead and insert a second record. Now I say here insert into salary values 502 Shankar 5000. You see the insert is successful because I have just logged only one record 501, but 502 is successful. This is what you are asking. When I say select start from salary, I'll get an error. But when I say select start from salary where employee ID equal to 502, I'm still getting an error because it has to still go from 501. See, this is because the internal access mechanism. I'll tell you how to solve this problem. I have 501 record, 502 record, right? These two are getting stored in the same page. The page is 2 KB. Within the 2 KB only these two are getting stored, right? By default, Informix follows a page level locking. That's why if you want to lock a single record, you are locking the entire page. Now let me go ahead and create an index here. It also allow to create an index. So that's why if I have to go to this 502, I still have to first read 501, then only I have to go to 502. It's like a sequential scan because there is no index on the table. We are going ahead through a sequential scan. How do you solve this problem? You can solve this problem by creating an index. Now it won't even allow to create an index now, but let's roll back this transaction. Create index, index1 on. Do you familiar with an index concept?
Yes.
Now I created an index. Update employee salary. Set employee salary equal to 14,000 where employee ID equal to 50. Now when I say select start from salary where employee ID equal to 502, it is successful now. Why? The access will go in this employee salary table through index level scan instead of reading row by row, because if I have to go to 502, I have to first pass 501. But whereas if I have an index, I can directly go and read this 502. If you want, I can show you this example one more time.
Yeah, go ahead.
One second. For our exercise, what I will do is, I will create a new table called customer. Right? I will create a new table called customer with a location. For example, DB access and buffer DB. I go to query language, new, create table called customer, customer ID integer, customer name character of 20, customer location character of 10. So I'm inserting two records. It is is showing only one row inserted because it executes one after the other. When it executed this, it showed one row inserted. When it executed this, it again showing one row inserted. Now if I go to the other session here, the white guy, if I say query and new, select start from customer, I see 2 records. Okay, but what I do here is I'll update customer. Before update, let me do a transaction start. Update customer, set customer location equal to UK, where customer ID equal to 10. So I have changed the location of Ravi from India to UK, right? But I did not commit this yet. Now what happens when I am running the query here? I will get an error saying that I cannot access the row because someone already logged that record. Now here what I do here is, if I say set isolation to dirty read and say select start from customer, I can see those 2 records. Or when I say select start from customer, where customer ID equal to, I can see this modified value because I'm following the dirty read isolation, the letter I in ACID properties. But there is no guarantee that this gets committed, right? If I don't use isolation level, I won't be able to read these records because I have to first pass it to 101, then only I have to go it through Shankar record. So one more solution, just in case if you don't want to follow isolation level, dirty isolation level, is, let me exit, run the same command, query language new. I have to create an index so that I will directly go to that row, so that I don't go to 101 Ravi India, 102 Shankar USA. So even if I want to access 102, I have to start it from here. Because there is no index on the table, I have to do a sequential scan. If there is an index on the table, I can directly go here. That's what I was trying to show here. So if I am trying to create an index, index 1 on customer ID, the index name already exists. So let me go ahead and give a different name. Now I can't do this because the file is locked. Here let me say new commit. I committed the data so that if I run it, the index is created.
So Ravi, small doubt. So I mean, commit is the only option we can release the lock, or we can give the duplicate session in the lock to do the operation.
Yeah,
if there is any kind of
yes,
jump.
That's a good question. So the only way you can release lock on the lock from the locked session is either you have to commit or you have to roll back, or someone has to kill that session. Indirectly, that's a rollback. There is no other way you can give a lock. If you are holding a lock, you will only release a lock by doing either commit or rollback, right? Because you don't know that someone is trying to update, because you have no idea that this white guy is coming and doing that. So you have no idea, you are here. You're just doing an work. Unless someone explicitly tells you to commit because someone is waiting, you don't know it. So who is going to tell that way? Only the DBA. By rolling back this transaction, right? That's what you are asking me.
Yeah. So only the option is rollback or commit, so that the person who is having the log don't know the other the session is going on or not.
Right. So because I don't know, right, if the other person is waiting for my lock or not.
Okay. So the dirty read will be possible, right?
I'm sorry.
To dirty read would be possible, right? To check or update, right?
Right. So with a dirty read, you cannot update, but you can only read. I mean,
Read, yeah.
yeah, reads are always possible with dirty read, no matter what.
Okay.
The committed read, so the second isolation level ensures you always read the committed data. This is a default isolation level when you have buffered or unbuffered databases. Right. So how do you set this committed read? Is set isolation to committed read. The third isolation level we have is cursor stability. If you are familiar with application SQL statement, they'll open a cursor. There is a concept called cursor. Cursor is nothing but a result set or a pointer which will hold the result set. Right. One of the type of a cursor they have is for update cursor. Right. So for example,
So can you give a brief description regarding cursors? I'm aware about that one, but I don't have knowledge of that.
for update, this is the one. So this is basically that application language scenario. So what happens is you say that select customer ID from customer for update. That means if let's say it got this one 101 Ravi UK Shankar USA. So initially the cursor will be here. Initially the cursor will be here. So once from here you move to here. When you say for update, when the cursor is pointing to the first record, you are opening or you are pointing to this record with for update. In the sense you are putting an update log. When you move from here to here, you release the previous log and you put a log here. For example, if an application side, right, if they are doing some select statement on the screen, they'll get 100 rows. So row by row, they can scroll it down, up or down. So if you go to a banking system, if you say you forgot your banking ID, they say it's based upon your name. There might be 100 Ravitesas, right? So they scroll one after another. Wherever they have the highlighted row, that row is currently locked. Right. So cursor is basically the current row pointer to a record that you are going to update.
So the cursor which is pointing that record that we can update or we can't.
Right. So IDS stands for Informix, places an update lock on the current fetched row. If the row is updated, the lock is converted to an exclusive lock that is held until the transaction ends, independent from the current position of the cursor. Right. So it puts a lock here on this record. If you are not updating anything and you are moving to the next record, the lock on this row is removed. But whereas if you updated this guy from India to USA and you move to the next row, this guy has a lock called exclusive lock. So the advantage of it is from application side you can do bunch of updates in a single cursor model, right? So what IBM Informix does here is Informix Dynamic Server places an update lock on the current fetched row. If the row is updated, the lock is converted to an exclusive lock that is held until the transaction ends, independent from the current position of a cursor. If the next row is fetched without updating the current one, for example, you are here, you did not update this, you move to the next record. So then the lock on this will be released. Now an update lock will be placed here. The update lock on the previous row is released and the new one is placed on the current row. So there you can change this behavior, retain update locks, so that the lock on this will be also be there. Right. This is more from application point of view, application developers point of view. I mean, this locking is majorly for applications only. There is nothing DBA. We just have to see what is locked and how do you solve the locking problem. To help you understand the locking problem, we need to first understand what are all the various isolation levels we have. And the fourth isolation level we have is a repeatable read. In this repeatable read, whichever is the row you process, it puts a shared lock. It puts a shared lock. Now let me show you this example once on how to see the current isolation level of a session. Just give me 1 minute, I'll set that. Let me show you this repeatable read as well as now when I run this query called select start from customer where customer ID less than 110, and if I press escape, I got 2 records. When I insert a record into the customer table, values 105, when I run the same query now, I see 3 records. You see here, simultaneous reads gave me first time 2 records, the next time they gave me 3 records. You got it? Now if I insert another record here, if I run the same run statement, I see 4 records. Right? So same select statement when I am running at a different point in time giving me different result. That means when I am repeating the same select statement at multiple times, it is giving me different results altogether. Right? If you don't want that to happen, what you have to do is set isolation to repeatable read. When you say select start from customer where customer ID less than 110. On the other session, if I'm trying to insert why it should not come like that. Committed. I think I'm missing something here. What I was expecting is it will throw an error on this, because in a repeatable read it guarantees same number of records as long as, oh boy, I'm not in a transaction here, sorry. Right, okay. I say begin, select start from customer where customer ID less than 110. Now let me come here and say insert into customer values 108 Srini India. You see I got an error because in a single transaction, when I open a transaction, what happens in repeatable read? In a single transaction, when I say select start from customer where customer ID less than 110, if it gave me 10 records, if I start this transaction as set isolation to no matter what, till you complete this transaction, you will see only 10 records. That's guaranteeing repeatable read. The name itself says that. Repeatable reads, repeatable select statement will always give you the same result. Will always give you the same result. That's not guaranteed in committed read or a dirty read. You see what I'm saying? Right. So these isolation levels are nothing that, not that Informix invented. They are general ANSI standards. You go to any database, you have one or the other isolation levels. When something like Oracle does not have a concept of dirty read, but Informix has it. But the concept of dirty read is there out in the market. Now, in summary, what I'm saying is, depending upon the isolation level you choose, we choose, DB2 does locking differently. See here, there is a lock kept on all these 5 records. So that's why it's not allowing us to insert anything that changes this result set. That's why we are not able to insert a record in middle. But let's look at if I can insert a record for 110. It's not even allowing me to insert a record for 110 because it locked the entire table. Let me say if I can insert for 111. It's not even allowing me. Right? Repeatable read places highest number of locks. So on the other session, you can see all this information using onstat-u. When you say onstat space -u, whenever someone opens a session, each session has a session ID. I mean terminal ID as well as a session ID. Right? You can see here that number of logs this session kept. 92 session ID kept 4 logs. You can see the information about current SQL they are running using a command called onstat space -g SQL.
Ravi, small doubt. Before entering this concept, like when we want to see, when we are in repeatable mode, when we want to see the completed transaction 10 records, we can see, right? So when we commit another transaction, we can see another 10 records.
No, I did not. Tell me here with the example.
See, I'll tell you. So previously we are able to see some 5 records, right?
Right.
In this black session.
Right. So here I have 5.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So we have 5. So we are basically in repeatable mode in white session.
Yeah, 5 rows. Yes, I got it here.
Yeah. So when we are doing another transaction in this white session, is it possible that we can see those records again in the black session?
No, I did not get it. So you are asking if I can run the select statement here?
No. See, I mean to say, if we are updating another 5 records here, so we have to give the lock to the black session so that we can see the other 5 records updated over here, or else what is the concept? Are you able to get me?
No. So what is that you want me to do?
One.
White terminal?
Give me a moment, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit clear for me. Yeah, you can go ahead with other things.
Okay. Now, the next thing what I'm saying is, how do I see what is the isolation level each session is following? When I say insert into customer values, now when I say onstat space -g SQL, session ID, the SQL statement, if there are any running like select or delete or update, you see here, the current one if it is in the current running state, the database they are connected to, what is the isolation level. CR stands for cursor committed read, CR stands for committed read, RR stands for repeatable read. So if you want to see what is the SQL they are currently running or the one they ran previously, you have to say onstat space -g SQL followed by session ID. Followed by session ID. So this was the last statement that we are executing on this session. Which session that is? This is the session. That's what I try to show in this slide here. Onstat-g SQL, that read or committed read or cursor stability or repeatable read. Now depending upon the isolation level, Informix does locking accordingly. Informix knows, which we also call it as IDS, Informix Dynamic Server, knows below lock types: shade lock, update lock, exclusive or intent lock. Right. What is the locking granularity in IDS? Granularity is nothing but it is the extent to which a system is broken down into small parts, either the system itself or its description or observation. It's as equivalent as if I have a big table with 10 million records, can I lock individual row? Can I lock only at a table level, or am I going to lock only at a database level? how granular I can work on individual table. You got a project, $1 million project, how granular you can divide that project so that you can give it to different people. For example, a art broken into inches has a finer granularity than an art broken into feet. How smaller you can break something into. Informix Dynamic Server IDS allows to place locks on below objects: database, table, page, row, index key locks. Let's look at what is a shared lock. Shared lock could be placed on rows that do not have an exclusive lock on it. For example, when you updated a record, you have an exclusive lock on that row. So that's why we are not able to put a shared lock. Other users might place additional shared locks or update locks on the same row, but no other exclusive locks are allowed. Let's say when you have a shared lock, other users, let's say you have a shared lock on a record, I can put a shared lock or I can put an update lock, but I cannot put exclusive lock. It's vice versa. If you have an exclusive lock, I cannot put shared lock. If you have a shared lock, I cannot put an exclusive lock. Exclusive, as the name says, it's exclusive for you. Share means multiple people can share. The second type of a lock is called update lock. So this comes only in the scenario when you use that isolation level called for update. So the moment your cursor is pointing to a specific record, you have update log there. The moment you move to the next row, for example in the same scenario, I can open a cursor for all these 5 for updates. If my cursor is at the first record, I will have an update log here. The moment I move to the next record, I will have an update log here and I will release the previous row's update log. So just in case I update this record, then I have an exclusive lock on this row. Till I commit, no one else can put share or update lock on the same record. The third one is exclusive lock. As the name says exclusive, an exclusive lock can only be placed on rows that do not have any other kind of lock on it. It's vice versa too. Once an exclusive lock is placed on a row, no other locks can be placed on the same row. It means it's exclusively reserved for this database session. Now here I have an example. The example says open 2 sessions with user ID Informix. From session 1, open a database. Example phase 1 in exclusive mode as follows. Database phase 1 exclusive. From a session 2, try to access the phase 1 database as DB access phase 1. Then you will get an error. Let me show you that. I'm exiting. Now it's saying that DB access query. I'm selecting some record, query new database unbuffer DB exclusive. That means I have logged this database exclusively. Here if I am trying to say DB access unbuffer DB, I will get an error saying that database is currently opened by another user. So I haven't connected to any database. Now how can I see this all from a session? So here you can see that information. So if you look at the last 2 sessions here, because they have a terminal ID, so they are user sessions. This guy has a log. So before I go on there, one important point here is Here Informix user only locked the database in exclusive mode. Here on the other session you are trying to connect as an Informix only. Doesn't matter. Remember that even though you are Informix user in both sessions, you are still not able to access from another session. That's what exclusive means. Even as a Raviteja user, if you are putting an exclusive lock on a record from another session, as a Raviteja user, you cannot do anything. It's a session specific. Now the fourth type of locks we have is like special locks at a table level. For example, if a row is updated, as we know, an exclusive lock is placed on the row and intent exclusive lock is placed on the table. The intent exclusive lock at a table level ensures that no other session could place a share or exclusive lock on the table as long as individual rows in the table have been exclusively locked. So intent lock, please note that it's at a table level. So if any one of the rows within a table are exclusively locked, you cannot lock a table. The objective is. So in summary, what we are talking about is, we are talking about 4 different locks. One is share lock, another one is update lock, third one is exclusive lock, fourth one is intent lock. Any questions till this point?
So, I mean, in sometime you will be showing practically these different blocks.
Yes, we are seeing that. Now the first one in that list is database lock. I have shown this example just now where you can lock database explicitly using exclusive mode. So that you can see it here. Here I have locked my database name exclusive. The same Informix user cannot even access the database exclusively. Now what happens here is, if this guy is some other user and trying to access a database and he is getting an error, so he complains to a database administrator saying that I cannot connect to the database, because this guy has no idea about other lock, right? Now as a mediator, a database administrator logs in and checks the scenario. How he can see list of all the logs on a system? By running a command called onstat space -k. Onstat is a command, it's the safest command to run. It will go and read from a shared memory. When I say -k, it gets me the locking information. Database locks. Database could be locked explicitly in exclusive or shared mode. Database shared locks. A shared lock is automatically placed on the database as soon as you open the database. It's a default one. Share in the sense you and I opening a database in a shared mode, so that both can work. So the moment you have a shared lock, I cannot put exclusive lock, right? So you can see that information using the type here, HDR plus S. S stands for shared lock. Whereas if you look at here, X means exclusive lock. Someone locked, this is the owner, this guy locked in an exclusive mode. HDR plus S says it's a shared lock. If you look at the row ID here, the column row ID, row ID is a hexadecimal row ID of the row describing this database in the table, sys databases in the sysmaster database. Now I just need to run this query to see what is the database name we are talking about here. This HDR plus X, if I want information, I need to run this SQL statement to find out. I say DB access. Sysmaster is a default database, very new. So the database is logged in exclusive mode. It's not even allowing me to put a log on the database. Sysmaster, sysutils. Each database has a number 201, 202, 203, 4, 5, 6 and 7. It's not allowing me to put a log there. So hold on a second. So this each number represents a database. So you will never have exclusive logs at a database level. So 207 is a number for your unbuffered DB database. Now before, even it's not allowing me to run a query against sys databases, right? So let me show you. Let me run that query one more time. I say DB access sysmaster, query new, select star from sys databases. There is a table called sys databases. What this sys database has information is every database you create, it has one row there. Sysmaster, sysutils, right? So you have to convert this row ID. Next. Right, so it's not allowing me to put a log after the buffer DB. Row ID is an internal column. Each one has a row ID. So I have to convert this row ID into hexadecimal. Then I will know that 207 belongs to, or here in this case 205 belongs to a specific user session. Use editor. Oops.
Ravi, can you please repeat why we'll use a hex?
Yes, so whatever the number you are getting here is an hexadecimal number. But row ID is in a normal numeric format. The row ID is an internal column.
Yeah, got it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, got it, Ravi.
Yeah. Right. So, but please note that the moment you see something called HDR plus X and the row ID, so it's a definite candidate, you can kill that session. Right? You should not let people log databases. Right? So in case of a database exclusive log, you have the information that HDR plus X. That's what we are seeing there. Now let me terminate this session. Right? So how do I terminate this session? So this 207, this is the owner. So with once you say onset -u, grep for this guy, right? You get a session ID here. You have to say onmode -z session ID. Onmode is a command that you need to follow with a little care. It kills stuff. It kills stuff. Onmode -z 96. So now when you say onset-k, you no longer see that HDR plus X anymore. The session got killed. Right? So the only solution if someone approaches you saying that they cannot access a database even in a shared mode is kill the session that is exclusively holding it, unless there is a reason to keep it there.
So there is the only option we have to kill the session. So is there any option we can change it into shared?
No, only user can do that. Only the session can do that. You don't have a control on it.
Okay, I mean it is possible, right? You can change it into shared rather than killing the session.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't have an option as a DBA. Only user has an option to change it.
Okay.
Only the session that's having it has an option to change it. We don't have an option. See, locking is not our problem. Whenever someone complains about locking, it's an application problem. As a DBA, you have to put in front of them on the table saying that these are the people involved in the locking. Why Shankar is not able to access in a shared mode? Because Ravi is holding the database in an exclusive mode. We don't know, right, how critical is Ravi user. You can't just go there and kill it. Someone has to approve you to kill it. Okay. The role of a database administrator is only to provide information. If they approve, they as in users approve, you kill the session. That's it. Now the second lock we have is a table lock. Like databases, tables could either be locked in exclusive or shared mode. Locking a table exclusive mode prevents anybody else from reading or changing data. An exception to this is sessions running with an isolation level of dirty read. Because a dirty read won't put any lock and won't take any lock. Locking a table in a shared mode allows others to select data from this table but prevents data modifications. Like you can put exclusive lock. To place a shared lock, you need to be in a transaction as below. Begin lock table orders in share mode. Now let me show you that example. I'm saying that DB access unbuffer DB. I'm going to query new. I'm starting the transaction. Lock table customer in share mode. Escape and run. So the table is locked, right? When the same guy here you can select, but when you are trying to update a record within it, you will get an error saying that someone is already updated hold it as shared lock. If I'm trying to insert into customer values 120 Vishal India, you cannot insert a new record because here I am holding a lock in a shared mode. Now this guy complains, this white guy complains saying that he cannot do an insert into customer table. Looks like a locking problem. But this white guy has no idea that someone else is locking it. That information each individual session has no idea. Now this guy approaches a DBA. Now as a DBA what you do? Constat-k. Now you watch this output here. Someone has a shared lock. When you have a 0 here row ID, it means it's a table lock. Oh, where is that example? You see a shared lock HDR plus yes and a row ID of 0. Row ID equal to 0. A 0 row ID represents a table lock. So whenever you see something here 0, even table locks are a bad signs. You can't have tables getting locked. Right. Now here the table space number conforms to the hexadecimal partition number of this table. Looking at this, can you tell what is the table name that's involved in the locking? No. So we have to follow a specific process here with the onCheck to get the information. There are two ways you can get the information. One is through onCheck or you run a select statement. When I run this onCheck -pt 0x00, this table space number, if I type more, it actually prints the layout for this table. This is a table that involved in the locking. Under this unbuffered database, Informix is the owner or schema, customer is a table. You see what I'm saying? Now looking at this onstat-k, you cannot tell which is the database here. Similarly, you cannot tell which is the table here, but you can get it with the information that onCheck command. OnCheck basically shows the disk layout for this table space number or segment number. Get me the information. So the first line, you can see what is the table logged here. Right. So that's pretty much I'm telling here, using this onCheck command or data dictionary view. Or you can run this command or SQL statement to get that information. Similarly, if someone locks a table in exclusive mode, you see something called HDR plus X. These two are very important locks. Locking something at a database level, very bad. Locking something at a table level, still very bad. The next one we have is page or row level lock. What if someone puts a lock at a row level? Right? The lock granularity, page or a row, could be specified during the creation of a table, right? Or the same can be changed with the alter statement. For example, while creating a table, I specify that lock mode row, lock mode page. So whenever you are trying to lock a row here, you lock only that row, but here you lock that entire page. The page might have 10 or 15 different records. You can determine the lock mode of a table using this command. Now let me run this command, the same command that I have run here, onCheck -pt. So it's a page level locking. I did not specify anything while creating the customer table, so it's by default page lock. Or I can run a query against systables. Systables is a system table which holds information about the tables that you create. Whenever you create a table, the information about tables is stored in systables. Right. Now let me run this query as well. Modify this query. There is no record. Oh, it's a lowercase, sorry. Each database has a table called system table. This output. Connect to the specific database, run the select query where tab name equal to customer, table name, and if I escape and run, P stands for page level. By default, Informix follows page level locking, unless you explicitly say lock mode as a row. Right. Now, how do we look at a page logs? Page logs are placed on a database page during the processing of a row. It's like a page, you know, you are going to a school, you buy a notebook. Notebook is comprised of pages, right? In a single page, you have like 18 or 20 different rules, line numbers, where each line is like one record. Even if you are going to lock one record, you are going to lock entire page. So that's the same concept here. That's what Informix follows by default. Page locks are represented with a 00 at the end of a row ID. What is the row ID here? In the row ID, you have a 00 at the end. If there are any page locks, you have a 00 at the end. Out of all the locks, the most important lock is a row level lock. Row locks are placed on a database page during the processing of a row. The table has been configured for row level locking. How do I identify a row lock? Right? So let me show you that example. This is very important one. Let me repeat this example, okay? DB access unbuffer DB, very new, begin, update, customer set, customer location equal to Australia, customer ID equal to 101. Right, I have a lock here. So this is a begin transaction. I have an exclusive lock here. So onstat-k. But you see here it has a end as 00 because it's a page level. The default isolation for customer is a page. So let me roll back and change the isolation level. Alter table customer lock mode to row. Right? Now I'm changing the lock mode of this customer table to row level. What did we learn in a page level? Page level at the end you see 00. Now if I say new begin update customer set customer location is equals to Australia where customer ID equal to 101. Now when I say onstat-k, now which one is associated with our lock? Which one is associated with our lock? 0 says it's a table level lock, right? IX, intent exclusive lock, I have at a table level. We learned, right, in the previous slides. Probably have to go through this recording couple of times because locking is the most complicated.
Yeah.
Right, intent exclusive lock means we are having an intention to put an exclusive lock on the table. Yes, I have an intent exclusive so that you cannot lock the table in exclusive again. So 0 is at a table level, but you see here I have 101 HDR plus X. I have an exclusive lock 101. Now how do you find out the information about them is you have to run this query. Right? Select start from the customer table where specific row ID equal to 0x000101. Then you will find out the associated row that is locked there. But you don't really have to get into this deeper. Whenever there is a locking problem, your job as a DBA is to let what are all the objects that are locked. That's it. It's up to the users to decide because we designed locking from a database side, but it's an application. First of all, why both are trying to come and update at the same time? It's a flaw. So locking most of the time is an application issue. Right. So that's an index key locks. We just seen this. No, this is not that one. That's an intent exclusive. Index key locks. IDS also places locks on the index keys like data rows in order to protect those index keys. Same, the way you put a lock at a table level, also you can put it at index level too. This key value locking guarantees that unique keys remain unique because it does not allow a second transaction to insert a key with the same value until the transaction that deleted the unique key is committed. Index key locks are identified by K. In key or PBs, where do I have it? Here. Here you see something called K. In the onstat space minus K output. I mean, knowing all this, how do you find out a session and kill it? So I have already shown you that. When you have information right onstat -K, and you are seeing that this is a session that is holding the exclusive lock. Here you have an update. So the owner here, when you say onstat space -U, it is associated with the address here. Whichever is the one we are talking about here, onstat -K grep. No. One second. When you say onstat -K, you see the owner here, right? When you say onstat -U grep for the specific owner, you see a record. So the record has third column as a session ID. When you say onstat -G SQL 106, you can see this update statement. If you want more information about that session 106, you have to use a letter called SES 106. So you get more information about the session, such as what is the process ID, the isolation level, the memory it used, more information about the session, thread ID. Right. So that's pretty much I have explained in this here. So if you want to kill a session, on mode space -Z. So here I have given you some queries to list the logs held by all users. The standard query. Right. So sys sessions and sys logs are the table that holds the information. You can get the information from Informix in two different ways. One through commands such as onmode, onstat, or you can run a queries against SMI tables, system monitoring interface tables, sys logs, sys sessions, sys databases, sys tables. But the most preferred way that an Informix DBA does here is by running an onstat command. So onstat pretty much gets you everything. So you don't have to literally know SQL to do stuff.